And beneath all of this, a world which we are increasingly conscious of tremendous human suffering, of historically caused human suffering. All of these factors have implications for this ancient tradition, the Christian tradition, and for those of us who engage and live in this world with faith in God that is shaped by that tradition. So my basic thesis is this, and the thesis will run through this entire program. Integrating these two realities, our ancient religious Christian tradition and our postmodern world, is neither automatic nor easy. One way of describing the task of theology is to say that theology mediates between this ancient tradition and the contemporary world in which it finds itself. Theology tries to find the connections between the tradition and the various cultures in which the tradition is being lived. Incidentally, this problematic that I'm speaking about, the problem of putting together the modern world and the ancient Christian tradition, the problem shows up every day for me in my graduate school teaching. I teach men and women who are by and large preparing for ministry in the Catholic Church, for ordained ministry as priests, for various forms of lay ministry, whether it be campus ministry or hospital chaplains or teachers, people who are on fire with their faith and are trying to understand it so as to pass it on. Our pluralistic and ambiguous world can be very unsettling for them. It can engender feelings of insecurity and a temptation to flee into various forms of traditionalism or even of fundamentalism that refuse to engage the modern or postmodern world. There are those in our church and in our theological schools who turn their back on the modern world, and in a way that's understandable. But it might not be the best or the only way to deal with the tensions involved in living at this time. I mean, part of the problem with just turning your back on the modern world or somehow condemning it and finding it as being the problem is that a lot of our contemporaries are living in that world. And if we want to address them, if we want to engage them, then somehow we have to try to build bridges between the tradition and the world that we're living in. But the problematic shows up in the lives of everyday Catholics too. Just recently I was at a parish where I've helped out for many years, and there was a woman in the parish attending church with her 19-year-old grandson. He's the only one of her 10 grandchildren who still goes to church. And as she spoke about that, you could tell that it caused her a lot of pain. She expressed a need to, as it were, offload her feelings of guilt and anxiety about this fact that 9 of her 10 grandchildren no longer go to church. She needed to offload those feelings onto someone else, whether her children and their spouses, the parents of her grandchildren, or church leaders like myself, for example, that somehow it's somebody else's fault. Even the one grandson who still goes to church comes in for a certain amount of her anxiety. The point is, she really cares about her grandkids, and she cares about this religious tradition that she loves, and she wants to share it with them, and she doesn't know how to make the connection. She doesn't know how to help them make sense of this faith that she loves, and she doesn't know how to hand it on. This is the problem in broad strokes. It might be useful to say more about some of the particular questions that arise as a result of the confrontation between the Christian tradition and this modern or postmodern world. There are many particular issues that one could identify. For example, we could talk about the failure or the failures of the church's own witness. For example, the recent clergy sex abuse scandal, or the decline in religious and priestly vocations, and so on and so forth. But these matters, important as they are, I don't believe they represent the real crisis, or the crisis that I would like to address in this program. Rather, the real crisis lies in the dynamics, you might say, in the dynamics of history itself. The fact that traditions change and grow. That problem has deep roots. It's far deeper than my poor parishioner with her grandchildren could ever know. For the sake of simplicity, I'd like to focus on 3 main questions. I'll return to these at the end of this program far later on to see if the theological method that we propose here successfully engages them. So